We've all been there at least once. You just heard that one of your favorite manga series is getting an anime adaptation. You're excited, you're overjoyed even, but you're also a little scared. What if they mess it up? What if it's just not that good? But you're hopeful. You like the studio, you recognize the voice actors, you see the trailer and it's looking real nice. This is good. This is going to be a great adaptation. But then you watch it. Who's this weird new character? Why is the animation so bad? What happened to my favorite arc? What's with all the filler? Why did they skip this part? Why did they change the ending? Where's season 2? I know you know what I'm talking about. Too many times have I had a manga series essentially ruined or tarnished by a bad anime adaptation. The pain is very, very real. But today, I'm actually here to tell you that great adaptations exist. And even better, I'm here to say, daringly so, that some adaptations are even a little better than their manga counterparts. I know, blasphemy, but it's true. And so today I'm going to be sharing with you 11 series that had great anime adaptations, and some of those I think are even a little better than their manga. So with that said, let's get into it. Before we get started though, I'd like to welcome you to MangAnalysis, where I do little reviews of the manga I've been reading. If you like what you see and would like to see more, make sure to subscribe and leave a like. Maybe even leave a comment. Let's get a conversation going. I guess it would be a good idea to quickly go over what I consider a great adaptation. I think a great adaptation is faithful to the source material, and if it's not, then there needs to be a reason. Some great adaptations divert a little, but there's usually a meaning behind that divergence, and if it's clear as to why that is, then it can usually be salvaged. But 9 out of 10 times, a great adaptation to me is faithful to the manga. There's no added arcs, no weird new characters, there's no filler. A great adaptation doesn't need all of that extra stuff because it already has extra stuff, like being animated. It has a soundtrack. It has tons of other people working on it. That's all you really need. Also, the animation and art direction doesn't always have to be absolutely incredible. As long as it fits the style of the manga, I think it can be pretty good. Some animation styles fit better with certain types of manga, and being able to choose the right one is important. The soundtrack is also hugely important to me. A great song can elevate emotional scenes tenfold, and can really drive the epicness of a fight scene through the roof. So let's start with the anime adaptations that I think are great, not necessarily better than the manga, but still an excellent alternative way of experiencing the story. My first pick for this video is Haikyuu. I got into Haikyuu really hard. It had a huge impact on how I chose to experience quarantine, by buying every single volume and getting entirely consumed by the series, but one of the reasons I think the anime was so good is because of my main man Yuki Hayashi and his phenomenal soundtrack. Yuki Hayashi in general is a god among men, and I consider most of his OSTs to be near perfect, but this one really got to me. It made these volleyball scenes so much more epic than they had any right to be. Also, the animation in this show is really impressive throughout the entire thing, minus a few episodes that were outsourced in the last season, but it really makes you excited about volleyball. There is a certain amount of energy that the manga has that just wasn't captured in the anime the way I wish it did, but that soundtrack comes in and makes you forget about all of that. It makes you wish you were on the court with those boys hitting them smashes, and it makes you believe that you too could make it to nationals. I also watched the dub, which I think is actually insanely good. The dub added a few lines here and there that almost seemed ad-libbed, and they're really funny. The manga is funny, but I do think the anime made me laugh a little more. Golden Kamuy is next, and this anime adaptation is interesting because it's actually missing quite a lot of content from the manga. So why is this adaptation in this list? Because it's actually just that good. They nail the characters and their chemistry, and everything that made the manga excellent in the first place is present in the anime. The animation? It's not that sick. The soundtrack? It's not that sick. But the characters, which are like the best thing about the manga, are executed so perfectly that it makes you forgive all of the other stuff. There are a few scenes in the manga that I think were even funnier in the anime simply due to the voice acting and the chemistry between characters. What's neat is that the scenes that were removed from the manga don't really affect the flow of the story. Some were removed, most likely due to how inappropriate they were, like, I get it, but even though in the manga they seemed vital, weren't missed as much as I thought they'd be in the anime. All to say, while it is maybe not the most flamboyant and shiny adaptation out there, it's still one that I 100% feel confident recommending. Next up is Erased, and this one is an exception. Not only does the ending greatly diverge from the manga, but it also skips an entire section. So again, I asked the question, why did this make the list? Well, I actually watched the anime before I read the manga. I really enjoyed the anime and thought they had a great ending. It's only when I read the manga that I realized how different things were. It's a short anime with only 12 episodes or so removing things from the source was bound to happen, and they removed a lot. But what remained was a different yet beautiful product. They did very well with what little space they had. They removed what could be removed and replaced with something that made sense. It didn't feel rushed, it didn't feel cheap, it was just different. I think the biggest reason I feel this way is again because I started with the anime. I can understand how one would be upset if they started with the manga, but add to that really good production such as great art direction, because personally I wasn't a huge fan of the manga art style, so the anime art style was a really good thing for me. Incredible animation and a memorable soundtrack, and you got yourself a really good time despite all the things that were removed from the original source. Finally, we got Fullmetal Alchemist. I think I mentioned in a previous video that if I had to pick between the manga and the anime, I might pick the anime because of how beautiful the animation is and how great the soundtrack can be. I'm honestly kind of torn. The manga is just such a wonderful classic and it has aged perfectly. The anime one day might not shine the same way because of how crazy anime is getting, but the manga will forever be timeless. I'll leave this one in a fun in-between section of my list. If someone was to come to me and ask me which I recommend, I think I would just hit them with the old reliable, generally which medium do you prefer? Go with that one, because both are honestly just so good. Okay. Now that we've looked at great adaptations, let's move on to adaptations so good that I might recommend them over the source material. Let's start with the two first ones, Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen. The reason these two are grouped together is because they made it here for the same reason. The production on these anime is just absolutely wild. Like, it's essentially movie quality for most episodes. It's honestly a little ridiculous. Not only is the production fabulous, it also retains the energy that the manga has and amplifies it. I actually found myself a little lost sometimes reading fight scenes in both Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen, whether because they were sometimes hard to follow, really complicated, or drawn in a way that was a little too abstract. But the anime comes with absolutely stunning animation and brings them to life in the ways the manga never really could. Don't get me wrong, the scenes in the manga are great, but this is just next level stuff. For those reasons alone, I can easily recommend their anime format a little more than their manga version. This is a weird one. It's My Dress-Up Darling. There was a time when slice of life romance anime didn't really get the high quality treatment. You had a few scenes here and there that had some really nice polish, but overall, super animation was kept for high octane, super moving anime. Lately, that's changed, and never more so than with My Dress-Up Darling. Oh my god, the amount of love that was put into this anime is crazy. The animation in each run cycle, simple things like getting out of a chair, threading needles, putting on a wig, things like that is just so convincing and real that it adds a whole new depth of immersion to the experience. Already, the detail placed in the manga was pretty incredible. So much care was put into the art, and seeing it shine on screen like this is absolutely gratifying. Plus, the dialogue in the anime is top notch. This is another one I watched dubbed in English, and they really nailed the script. The chemistry of both main characters in the manga was already really well done, but sometimes the translation seemed a bit off, a bit out of touch, but the anime really nailed it, sort of modernized it and wrote it for audiences that I can relate to more than usual. If anyone asks, while I do absolutely love the manga, I think the anime comes out on top a little more for me. Mushishi is a manga that has something not a lot of other mangas have, and that's atmosphere. It's a pretty vague term, I'll give you that, but it's something you for sure experience when you read it. It's hard to define, but you just know. The anime captures that perfectly. Whatever it is that makes Mushishi out of this world is perfectly represented in the anime. The animation is pretty good, the art direction is pretty good, the OST is incredible yet subtle, nothing jumps out, but together it fits miraculously well. I watched an interview where the director of the anime talked about how he just wanted to make a perfect replication of the manga, and he wanted to capture that je ne sais quoi that made Mushishi such an interesting manga, and I can assure you that he succeeded. I've read the manga series once and felt pretty happy about it. I've watched the anime maybe like 10 times, and each time I notice new little things, and each time I'm left with an overwhelming feeling of wanting to experience it again. It's just absolutely wonderful. Alright, here we go, my favorite anime adaptation. The ultimate adaptation, the one that I would absolutely recommend over its manga counterpart every single time. It's Mob Psycho 100. Yes, we can talk all day about the incredible animation during them special psychic fights. We could talk once more about atmosphere and how weird the art style and the music bring it all together into a nice, satisfying little package. We could talk about the cinematography, we could talk about all that. But baby, today I'm here to talk to you about one man, Reigen Arataka. He's pretty good in the manga, but he peaks in the anime. You might not like it, but this is what peak performance looks like. At least once a week I go find myself a Reigen Arataka compilation video and I just die because he makes me laugh so much. The humor is so on point and the voice acting is just so perfect in English and in Japanese that it makes everything worth it. I'm so excited that the third season is coming, and you know your boy is going to be watching it religiously every single week. Well, there you have it, 8 anime adaptations that are either just as great as their manga counterpart or even better. Regardless of where they sit on this list though, I can 100% recommend these series in either format. You like yourself a nice little night in, not feeling like turning on some lights and reading? Watch the anime. Or you know you'll be going to the beach for a few days and you can't really be streaming some shows? Read the books. Both formats are great. Now, I'd like to hear from you. What are some anime adaptations that you absolutely love? Did you really like it because you love seeing your characters come to life? Did it have a great soundtrack? Did it even maybe add stuff that you thought was really fun? Tell me in the comments down below. Additionally, recently I went on a little hiatus of sorts because I was completing a webtoon comic for a competition. It's been submitted. Took me lots of time and effort to finish it in time, so if you're interested, you can check it out. I'll be leaving the link in the description below. I hope you enjoyed this little video, and if you did indeed enjoy it, consider subscribing. This was MangAnalysis. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.